Welcome everyone. This is No Bullshit Gaming Podcast 2.5 Gamers session number 57. We are sharing actionable insights, dropping knowledge from our day-to-day user acquisition, game design, and monetization jobs. We are dropping knowledge from UA today, so we're definitely not discussing the latest news, but we're having so much fun. Still, this is 4 a.m. conference discussion vibe, so let's not take it too seriously. And as I said, today we're going to talk about more or less UA-ish. This is a special Privacy Sandbox session with Kate, Lovejoy, and Loic Anton. Welcome. Thank you for coming. So, Kate, you were here before, so great to have you back. Like you're the fresh face on our podcast. Let's start with the quick intro. So please, let's start with Kate, and then you're next. So
sure.
What are you doing? And how did you end up in games? I guess we are a gaming podcast. So how did you end up in gaming industry?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm super happy to be back. I had a lot of fun last time talking about iOS and ATT, and here I am again talking about Android this time. My name is Kate Lovejoy. I'm the U.S. Managing Director and COO of the retargeting business at Addictive. I've worked in advertising for the past 10 years or so, and the better part of that time in mobile games. So specifically, supporting mobile game marketers in retargeting and user acquisition.
Nice. So how did you end up in games?
I started at a company called Cross Install that had a real focus on. I think that's where we first worked together.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Oof, that was a long time ago.
Indeed, it was.
Time flies.
So that was my first exposure.
Like, how about yourself?
Yeah, so happy to be here as well for the first time. So I'm Loic Anton. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Addictive, and I've been in NetTech for the past 8 years and focused on games a bit more recently. So I started on mobile gaming with Addictive,
Nice.
where it's been our focus for the last few years, and it's really been exciting so far.
Nice, it's great. Okay, so our dear listeners, as you might notice, I changed Felix and Jakub, replaced Felix and Jakub, because they don't know anything about the Privacy Sandbox. So we are talking about Privacy Sandbox. What the hell is Privacy Sandbox? Can you explain, please, and go as deep as you can? It's really interesting story. Not that many information is still out there, so. Let's kick it off with like a warm-up question.
Yeah, so what is Privacy Sandbox? So first of all, it's something big.
Nice.
So it's overall it's a technical project from Google. So it targets both Chrome and Android actually, and so the goal is to add features to those platforms so that advertisers can run advertising campaigns, and especially performance advertising campaigns, but without using device identifiers. So on Chrome, we are speaking about the third-party cookie, where there's already been an official deprecation announcement. And for Android, it's what we call the advertising ID, the GA ID, which is not yet officially deprecated, but it's most likely going to happen in the next few years as well. So Android Privacy Sandbox is about that. It's about maintaining all the performance advertising use cases, even without device IDs.
Okay, so the thing is, like, do you think people care if about the privacy? That's the first thing, because Apple did this as well, and they say, "Oh, well, this is great for players and for people." And everybody I'm talking to, they say, "Oh, well, I don't care." Honestly.
Are you talking to a lot of marketers, Matej?
Maybe. No, but like the players in general. Also, I guess there is maybe a little bit of bias because they are developers as well. But I'm talking also non-developers, and they say, "Oh, well," when someone asks me, "Oh, well, do I care about the IDFA?" I didn't even know what IDFA. That's their answer immediately. So, do you think they care that much, or is it really necessary?
I think users care about privacy. I think if you ask someone, do I care about being tracked around the web, on my phone, they would probably say yes. I think you're right that they don't really know they don't know the specifics. They don't know that there's a particular ID that's following them around everywhere. But I think what Google's done, and we might get into this a little bit later, is created a more elegant solution for privacy, for addressing privacy. The whole aim with Fledge is that you don't have to expose your ID at the user level, but you can still participate in targeted ads.
Okay. So how does it work? Like the whole privacy sandbox and
So there's kind of an overarching concept, which is the fact that the personal data, such as device ID today, but it also covers other kind of data coming from the phone, should stay on the device and not be shared to remote servers, remote infrastructure to be processed away from the device. So that's really the concept. Keep the personal data on the device. It can be used, but it has to stay on the device instead of being shared to remote servers. So very concretely, app developers that work with the Privacy Sandbox, they can use some new APIs provided by those platforms to ask to manage the marketing use cases that require a device ID. Like so, we mentioned targeted ads. It can also be use cases around measurement, like attribution of post installs, or ROAS measurement, these kind of things that rely on device ID today. So those use cases, you basically have a set of APIs within Chrome, within Android, to manage the use case, and that's basically how it works. So you have this abstraction level. Chrome is doing it for you. Android is doing it for you, and you don't have to collect the device ID because it's being used in the background without you having to use it.
Okay. So why should we kind of like pay attention to the Privacy Sandbox, and is it something that we need to actually take care of right now, or we have some time?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely have time here.
Okay.
It's important to start paying attention to it. I mean, it's another, I think, essential shift in our industry. There are two things that I think will be important. One is that we're moving away from user level bid pricing and creative assignment. So all of that is moving from the user level to the audience level. So ad buyers will have to have that in mind. And I think that will have implications. And the other thing is reporting does change. So no longer real-time unlimited reporting of attributed conversions and revenue, but we'll have to adjust campaign pipelines. So that doesn't mean we can start making those changes today, right? We can't start that so much, but we can kind of have that in mind and prepare for it. I think what you can do today is start talking to your vendors that you're working with, your advertising vendors. Most likely they have some sort of beta with Google that you can start participating in.
Okay. And so do you think still there can be a few changes happening to like the whole framework of the Privacy Sandbox? Or because what I'm trying to say is like, I did a lot of preparation for ATT, which was definitely not very useful. So I'm trying to avoid spending so much time and resources to figure out everything just beforehand. So because if now I pay attention to it and then everything changes again, like I'm fucked, basically.
No, I think you're perfectly right. And to be fair, I think here we are following the same story to some extent. The main difference is that for SCAD networks, everything changed while it was already in production for all devices. And here Google is actually doing it like before general admission, right? But you're totally right. Anybody who would manage to digest the whole documentation, which is would be a miracle, by the way, but it would probably be obsolete in 6 months. So yeah, even though there's a beta that's already live and available on the real end user devices, specifications, constraints are changing almost on a monthly basis. So we are not we haven't reached like a phase of stability on the feature set today.
So when you say the beta is out, like what can you actually beta test? How should you use it?
Yeah, well, the main features, as we mentioned, concerns targeted ads. So what you can test is definitely trying to show ads within this new framework that's leveraging the new APIs. So Privacy Sandbox includes a feature called Fledge that lets you define audience rules, so that you display ads only to users who have matched the rules that you expect. So this kind of scenario, you can test it. And the other thing that you can easily test is the reporting part. The reporting feature of Privacy Sandbox is similar to SKAd network reporting framework. So it has a limited conversion values and this kind of constraints. So this is already something that you can try, seeing if you get those conversions for real users who are doing installs and post-install events. That's already usable.
Okay, and where can you do all of these interesting things? Because I can already see myself trying to explore this because it's reporting and the targeting is kind of interesting thing.
Yeah, well, that's the hard part, to be honest, because because there's a very complex technical environment to set up, which includes many new components on Android side. So basically, without having really an SDK presence within an app, it's impossible to test today. You also need to have some kind of backend to process some ad requests, because and the creatives, of course. Really, Privacy Sandbox embeds a whole advertising mechanism, and this includes mobile side code, backend code, creative serving, and of course also some also backend features to receive notifications of conversions and these kind of things. So it's a complex technical environment to set up at the beginning. So that's why, as Kate mentioned, I think advertising vendors are trying to spend time on it as soon as possible to get the technical environment up and running, so that when you really have to use it in production, you're not in a rush.
Okay. So I would need to talk to the UA channels to see if I can explore the Privacy Sandbox. Okay. And are you already testing it? I guess. Well, I guess you are, right? I hope so.
We are.
Yeah.
Nice. Any initial interesting things that you can share? Besides that, it's really complex, but ATT and the scan is really complex as well. It took me a few months and maybe even a year to actually figure it out.
Yeah. So yeah, we're definitely testing and following all the updates, thoroughly. We were lucky enough to have like a privileged access to the Google PMs and engineers working on it. I think as a player of mobile app retargeting, we really have an advanced use case of targeted advertising. So I think our inputs are useful for Google to actually test the technical limits of their sandbox, especially all this processing that we're used to doing on our servers, but it's now supposed to be done on the device. So that's really I think a question mark still today for Google, whether that's too much computing for a device or not. So I think here our inputs are useful. So yeah, in terms of experience, we mostly provide feedback on the features of the sandbox. Telling them whether the features work as expected. And we also sometimes raise like higher level issues that are more related to our business. An example is that for us, for Addictive, which is a DSP, so we don't have any SDK presence today in Android apps. So as I said today, it's impossible to use the sandbox without having actually code running on the Android app. So I think that was one of the topics that we raised. So we need to manage the audiences on behalf of advertisers. However, we don't have any SDK presence. So we need to find a solution to manage
potentially you would need to create an SDK for addictive services and then ask every client to implement it. Ooh.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Absolutely. So that's the scenario that we're prepared for. However, we'd like to suggest Google some alternatives, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that they're listening. They of course have plenty of constraints that we're unaware of, but overall, they just want to maintain the business that they have today. So I think they're listening to all the valuable inputs that we can provide on how to maintain the business volume as it is today.
Yeah, so you're amongst the few companies that work with Google. Checking the list, like how did they even get there? It's like they just approached, like, "Hey guys, I know you are a big player, like you said, like you're a big player in mobile gaming business. We want to talk to you."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, they work with us on the supply side, so we're buying on Google. And again, their solution has a retargeting focus, right? So with ATT, if a user opts out, there's no targeting. And what has that led to? It's led to predictive retargeting on zero IDFA users. That's what that's led to. Google is actually trying to have a solution with Fledge that allows for retargeting. And so with that, I think it was important to them to work with and reach out to retargeting partners like us to talk through what that actually looks like.
How does that cooperation look like actually? Do you have like weekly calls? You fly to California to meet them face to face and talk about it, to have a workshop?
Yeah, we have regular meetings with them on the calendar, and they've also been willing to do workshops with our partners, which has been super valuable.
That's great.
As you mentioned, like everyone is trying to figure this out in real time. Like what are the implications of this? And they've done workshops with us, which has been amazing.
How does that workshop look like? I'm very curious. So you sit down with the team on Google, and they are trying to explain what they're doing. Why is this important, and then get feedback, or like how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So we have like a direct contact over there who we kind of prepared materials with ahead of time, decided what Addictive would speak to, what they would speak to, shared some feedback, and then got on a call with some of our top partners.
Nice. Okay. How's that? Like, what kind of feedback you are sending to Google? Like, hey guys, well, this is not working. Come on. Or, well, we don't want to implement SDK to every client's app.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. A bit of both. So definitely sharing feedback on whether the features that they roll out are working as expected. But also some of our constraints to maintain the business, how the performance looks. I think that's also super important for them, like to have our feedback, because we're running today some retargeting campaigns that are leveraging the device ID. So I think they're keen on having our feedback about performance with the Privacy Sandbox versus the current way of doing targeted advertising today. So that's also something that they want to hear about.
Yeah, I would like to hear about that as well. What's the difference in terms of performance, if you can share? Obviously, it's very early, so that's going to change. But still, like that's interesting information.
Yeah, to be honest, today it's like a low scale, so it's
I can imagine.
statistically, I don't know, it's very if it's very significant.
Mm.
However, for sure, as we said, it's a little bit like SCAD network. You have a limited reporting framework,
Mm.
limited capabilities to measure and therefore optimize on ROAS, or I would say events that are far in the funnel. So of course you get a bit more. You lose a little bit of performance on the way. So I think it's just a matter of setting the right threshold between privacy and performance.
Mm.
And I think
So what's
that's
the
what our feedback is
percentage?
useful
What's
for.
the percentage? Tell me a number.
Nothing
Come on.
nothing significant so far. I
Okay.
really can't say anything relevant.
Okay. So it's very low amount of data points for now. Okay, got it. But still, it's kind of interesting that Google is actually talking to companies. So would that be the only difference between the ATT and the Privacy Sandbox? That actually they care, I guess.
Well, I don't know if
Well,
they care. Can
Okay.
we say, I
Okay.
wouldn't say that a company cares, but I mean, for me, the way I think about it is fundamentally Google is an advertising company
Yeah.
and they're behaving accordingly. They're operating accordingly with support for advertising.
Okay. Like.
absolutely. I would add that there's a major difference for retargeting, which is when Apple introduced ATT, there was basically no alternative for targeted advertising on opted out users. Here, it's really a different approach. 100% of Android users stay eligible to targeted advertising. It's just that you have to do it in a different way without using the device ID. So I think that's very an interesting approach for us because we manage to accommodate both the constraint of
Mm.
privacy and the constraint of maintaining an advertising business. So I think
So
that's very smart.
yes, you already touched that audience is kind of change and that reporting change. Like how exactly that looks like? Like, can you give me like an example, like how to define the audience, for example? Like how did it how was it before and like how is it now with the Privacy Sandbox? Just I can kind of like picture it.
Yeah, for sure. So today, I mean, Loic will be able to expand more in detail from the product perspective, but I mean, today you're going after a specific user. So you know that that user has completed X action. They've gotten to level 7, but not level 8. We can
Yeah.
target that specific user, but we also know a lot of other information about them, right? How they're in and out of the app, what other apps they're in and out of, all of that, all of those signals that we take in the new framework with Privacy Sandbox, we really just have those rules in place. So we know that this is a user who got to level 7 but not level 8, and we can go after that pool of users at the audience level.
Okay. So like what? No, I don't see the change except like you can't see the additional data points. Is that the main difference?
Yeah, you have fewer data points for
Okay.
conversion. You have fewer postbacks. You only have a maximum 3 postbacks for post click, 2 postbacks for post view.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this kind of you have this kind of limits, like a limited data points on conversions and also limited time windows. So for reporting, the maximum window is day 30.
Okay.
So that's this kind of constraint that you have to accommodate. For audience definition and targeting, it's even more it's even more another word, because before, again, you would collect all the data, all the events
Yeah.
from an app with a device ID associated. So you get the whole history of actions per user,
Yeah.
and then you basically have your own data processing infrastructure to make something useful out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's the other way around. Like you're going to push your
Ah.
targeting rules to the device. So you're going to push to the device. Okay, just send me ad requests for users who've installed in the last months, but who've been inactive in the last 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Okay.
you just expect that it works because you will
Okay.
receive ad requests. You will receive ad requests identified with the audience name corresponding to those rules. But you will not know who's actually behind those requests. You just expect that it matches the rules that you've set.
Okay. Okay. Now I get it. So yeah, you need to think about the rules before, and now you can actually just take all the data points and say, well, this looks good, this doesn't look good. Then you will just figure something out based on the data points. Now it's the other way around. That's kind of interesting. Okay. All right. You mentioned the limited data for the reporting and basically, I guess, everything in terms of the data. How how does the conversion window looks like for different postbacks? Is it just let's say in first day you can get one postback similar to scan 4, and then you have different time windows for each postback, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's really similar to SKAD network. Um, Here the specs are still changing,
Mm-hmm.
but I think right now it's basically you get a first post back at day two after the click or the
Mm-hmm.
conversion. And then you get another one where you can customize the time window, but it's maximum 1 month. And then you get a final one after 1 month.
Mm.
Those are the current specs, but it's evolving, and that's typically also the kind of things that where ad tech providers and also MMPs. MMPs are of course also in the picture. They are providing feedback because they are today like also the experts of this kind of settings, and they they have
Okay.
their own reason.
I assume there is also some going to be some limitations on the creative performance, right? Or like how does that look like?
Yes, well, so personalization at the user level of creative content is not doable anymore, as
Mm.
we said, because you do not
Yeah.
know exactly who is sending an ad request. So you're still able to customize the creatives per audience. Let's say I have a different creative for
Mm-hmm.
my UA than for my retargeting. That's really basic. Even within retargeting, depending on the audience you want to retarget, you can have different creatives. However, I would say like a really hyper targeted use case, like show me a creative with the last shoes that I've seen on the
Yeah.
on the website or on the app just before. This is not possible anymore because you do not know that it's the same person.
Yeah, you can't identify the person. Okay, so what are you going to do on the creative level?
Yeah, I mean, we are lucky in that we have internal teams who have been focusing on building creatives based on the audience level for a long time. So we kind of have married the
Mm.
machine learning and the models deciding what creative what to show to what user at what moment with this human aspect has always been kind of part of our business is
Yeah.
looking at how the creatives perform, like trying to intuit based on the data what ads we should be showing to which group of users. So, for example, if we have a simple example, like a payer audience who is many levels into an app, we would show them different ads than we would show to a user who's installed in the last 7 days. That sort of thing we'll still be able to do because it's really creative at the audience level and not at the user level. But it'll be an interesting challenge to kind of go into this next phase.
Oof, yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I was always positive about the ATT and about the iOS changes. So I think like this is just inevitable and will happen at some point in the future. Any like at least like information about, like, I know you mentioned it's no, but it might be just in a few years. But anything more concrete that you can share?
So there's an agenda on Chrome where there's there's the official deprecation of third-party cookies that has been announced, I think, for mid next year, something like that, if it doesn't get delayed. For Android, nothing specific yet about the device advertising ID. However, we should probably expect it to be not earlier than Chrome first, but also not not very further away either. So I would say late 2024, maybe 2025, this kind of range.
Plenty of time then. Plenty of time.
Yeah, that's a bit the risk. That's a bit the risk because, as I said, it's really complex tech stuff. At least for third-party vendors that are in the middle of all this and who are expected to bring performance to advertisers. So it's actually important to get prepared as soon as possible.
So who do you think is going to be more like suitable or have more advantage from the I guess data team point for this privacy sandbox to actually excel like with the iOS? Because I think like right now smaller companies, they're more agile and more flexible, can do things or like change things on the product side, while the bigger companies, they're really slow and kind of can't make so many changes anyway. Like I guess, yeah, any ideas like who can actually benefit?
I think so. First of all, both type of companies will have to bear the challenges of reporting. That's one thing. I would say that maybe the big studios will have some advantage here because they will have spent most of the past years working on the SKAD network and figuring this out. And I think most of the knowledge on the SKAD network can be reused here. That's maybe one thing. However, small studios can also maybe benefit from the overall anonymity of Android users that will have to maybe have also a better retention on their most valuable users. I think today with the device IDs shared across the board, it's easier for competitors to target your valuable users and it's going to be harder definitely in the future. So maybe that could be an advantage to small studios.
Yeah. So the main question is then how is it going to influence both like UI world and the retargeting world? I know you mentioned already some of the aspects, but anything else that comes into your mind?
For me, the main impact will be on performance. As I said, I really want to stress this out. Like unlike on iOS, retargeting will still be possible on all Android users. So that's really great. And so overall, the use cases will remain, but the performance measurement and optimizations will be more constrained. So to me, it's likely that ROAS will decrease across the board a little, as we've seen on iOS. That's for sure. Then it's hard to anticipate like the technical challenges that it will bring to game developers at this stage, because I think the industry is currently working hard to make it as simple as possible to use. So both Google, but also us, the MMPs, etc. Everybody is trying to get the complexity abstracted so that it's easy to use. But yeah, I think ad revenue will probably be disrupted significantly, as we've seen on iOS. You will see maybe also big studios having an advantage here because maybe they will have more resources to try to add signals to the ad request to get better CPMs, things like that. Okay.
That's a very interesting point. Yeah, I wanted to ask one question, then I forgot about it, but now I know what I wanted to ask. So, was there any gaming companies were in discussions with Google as well? Was someone there from the gaming side of things? Because why I'm asking this is just if they like games would need to make some changes on the product side just to get more data points just to get advantage from the Privacy Sandbox. Is there a discussion like that?
So actually, gaming partners who are clients of Addictive can work with us and Google. Google hasn't shared their specific list of all of the vendors in the space that they're working with. We know MMPs, SSPs, but I would actually encourage as many vendors and studios are if you're working with Google, tell the rest of the community, and let's all start sharing learnings. I think no need for us to be secretive about that. Addictive is working with Google. We're happy to share insights as we kind of navigate this very technical challenge that Loic has been describing. And I don't know, let's work on this all together as an industry.
Oh yes, of course. I mean, that's the beauty part of the gaming industry is like
Totally.
people actually share. That's great because it's kind of helpful. And I always encourage people to actually share as much as they can. And that's what I've been doing since the ATT happened. I don't like to speak about things before they happen and before I have some experience with anything. So that's why I'm very eager to jump on the Scan 4.0 train as early as I can. But also, like, there is still not that many UA channels kind of ready anyway. So I guess it will take some time, right? So any last advice, obviously, except the sharing and talking to other people because that's important. Anything that it comes into your minds?
Well, on my end, I think something you said like resonates to me. The fact that you don't want to get to deep dive too early because things are still changing a lot. However, I think one of the most advanced part of the Privacy Sandbox is definitely the reporting framework. So I think here my advice would be if you have figured out how to make it work with the SCAD network, then don't worry, it should be pretty similar. So this knowledge will be reused for Android reporting on post deprecation of the advertising ID. So that's maybe my main advice.
Nice.
Make sure you figured out how to make it work with the Scan 4, and I think it should be the transition for Android should be seamless.
For sure. And I would add to that, my advice would be similar to when ATT rolled out. I think it was important to have as much learnings and baseline before that change as possible. So I'm encouraging our partners to really work with in the retargeting space, like work with your partner to make sure that you know what are your best performing audiences, what are your best performing creatives, while we still have the user level models to rely on. So you can kind of carry those contextual learnings into the next phase.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So okay, I think from what I understood from our discussion, it's still nobody knows when it's going to happen. There is a maybe, and maybe 2024, 2025, I guess. Definitely after Chrome. Then Google Cares they talk to you guys. They talk to the games that you work with. They actually listen, which is nice. Which is kind of nice. A very different story from Apple. We don't need to get into the weeds right now, but definitely if there is some partner you work with and they are already testing the Privacy Sandbox and you have kind of, I would say a big data team because like you said, it's really complex. So definitely get on and try testing it out. And then, I think, we're good. Should be fun. Are you looking forward to it?
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course.
Yeah, no, but I think it's the way, as we said earlier, it's the way the market goes. More privacy, less shadowing. I mean, the shadow usage of personally identifiable data. So I'm really excited that Google takes it seriously and doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say,
sets up the environment for performance advertising to work still in this context.
yeah, I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised that they didn't do the Apple way. Just, hey, it's happening now. Go figure it out.
Right. And it really is elegant, right? It allows
Yeah.
for privacy while with targeting. Like that should be the goal. I think most people like a really good targeted ad. If it's a
Yeah,
if it's a
exactly.
one, I love it when I get an ad and it's for like a new purse that I would be really excited about, right? I think people want that. So
Yeah, I
I think
think
it's
so. Like that's how it should be. I don't like to see like irrelevant ads like across my Facebook or my any basically inventory. But yeah, I'm an iPhone user, so I need to get used to it. Yeah. Okay. So if anyone wants to reach out to you guys, what should they do? Please
yeah,
share your
please
details.
shoot us an email, Kate at Addictive or Loic at addictive.com, and we're happy to chat.
Nice. Perfect. Then thank you very much for coming, and also thank you very much. Shit, I can't even speak anymore. What's
It's
happening
4
to me?
a.m. at the conference. What can you
Exactly.
expect?
I know, right? It's time to bed. No. Thank you, listeners,
Yeah,
for
and
listening.
Privacy Sandbox is really a brainwashing topic. So
Oh,
Yeah.
don't worry, Mate.
okay. Okay, all good. All right. Thank you very much for listening, for coming. See you next time.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
invitation.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.